Um, Good morning, dear listeners. Today we have a new episode of the podcast series on the 7 laws of reality, and which is part of the No Age Ontology podcast series. And we already spoken about the principle of rhythm in general, but now we are going to see how the principle of rhythms can be found in different spiritual traditions. For example, in Buddhism. In Buddhism is actually expressed by the concept of impermanence and also by the ultimate state of enlightenment of a fully enlightened, fully awakened being. In Buddhism, basically, in his first teaching after the enlightenment, the Buddha laid out the proposition of the four noble truths. So one of these four noble truths is the truth of suffering, which is connected to impermanence, in that all compounded things are impermanent. So everything is impermanent. Here, compounded means all that is not indivisible. In other words, all that can be known in terms of subjects and object is impermanent. So all phenomena is impermanent. All appearances are impermanent. So the truth of impermanence of phenomena is another aspect of the law of rhythm, which expresses always a flow and an inflow, a swing forward and backwards, an advance and a retreat. Nothing is stable, and nothing remains the same. All is in motion, and therefore all is impermanent. So on the physical level, the birth and death of universes and inhabiting beings is always found to be in cyclic trance as part of the impermanence of all phenomena. So the universes come into being, they stay for a very long time, and then they disintegrate, and then there is a gap, and then they form again. And this is part of the law of rhythm, and which is based on impermanence of phenomena. So at the level of mind, Buddhism explains that there is always an empty gap of stillness between the movement of thoughts, or string of thoughts, concepts, which we call concepts, and that these two modes of mind's manifestation, so the stillness and the movement, alternate in rhythmic fashion. So there is movement, which is thoughts and emotions, then there is a gap, and then there is more movement, and then there is a gap. Usually because of the mind being completely confused, the movement is almost almost relentless. So there is almost no gap between thoughts, but actually there is always a gap. But the mind, we just don't notice the gap. We don't notice the stillness anymore because of the movements being so fast and so overwhelming. But there is this gap, and in fact, all the mind's trainings, all the meditations in Buddhism, but also in other traditions, in Hinduism, mindfulness, they all aim at increasing the gap, increasing the state of stillness, slowing down the movement of thoughts and emotions, and increasing the gap between, so that you can see clearly. Okay, so but there is, so this is just to say that there is a rhythmic fashion between movement and stillness. And then on an ultimate level, at the level of full enlightenment, the principle of rhythm is expressed again in the activities of a fully awakened one, a Buddha, an awakened being, because there is an emanation for the benefit of others without ever leaving the knowledge of the pure ground of being, and then there is a returning back to the ground of pure being, of mere potentiality, in a ceaseless and timeless play of dissolution and expansion. So the space of ground of pure being now recognizes itself as a timeless pure being, that's an awakened being, but there is an expansion of emanations for the benefit of all sentient beings which are confused, and all these emanations then dissolve again back into the pure ground of being, which is oneself. And so this is a rhythm again, so this is a kind of rhythm. Okay, so this is all for the principle of rhythm in Buddhism as a general introduction, and more information can be found in the books and links are in the comments. Thank you for listening.